Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're positively into the summer months, and got to make a full admission. Back in my glory era of senior weeks and whatnot, this was sort of senior week, first week of June. You get senioritis, the weather breaks, Memorial Day's already happened. You feel like I got to get away. It's time to fly here, go there, do this, do that. Maybe appear at OTAs, maybe not if I'm the quarterback, but mandatories are next week. But the vacation time, getting out, moving away a little bit. When I think about the wonders of the web and my chief digital officer, Mike Rosenfeld, and the thing that the web has done for my life, more than just communicating and being able to do business and things like that, is I travel a lot. You know this. I love to travel. It's the thing that sort of the plague freaked me all out. I travel sort of quickly, very inexpensively, have a great time, and get back. But I travel more than most people, and I'm about to go on this trip. And I know you and I have been talking a little off the air, but I want to bring it onto the air about like the virus and moving around and seeing rock and roll bands and seeing your kid in Chicago and doing things that you put off doing for 2 years and feeling like I'm getting older and fatter and my back hurt 6 months ago and I couldn't do things. I'm going to go shake my ass with Mick and Keith in Amsterdam on Monday night, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So there.
Yeah, good for you.
Right.
Good for you. Yeah, I mean, we got it. This is obviously an individual decision or family decision of how aggressive people are going to be. I remember at the start of the virus, my son, the one you referenced in Chicago, he called the virus the Roni, and I've been calling it the Roni ever since. A little bit of disrespect name for the virus,
right? F the virus, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I remember coining two terms, Roni casual or Roni rigid, to describe the people in my sphere of how they were behaving during this.
I don't shake hands, I don't hug, I don't kiss, I don't get up in space, I don't cough on people or off people, but I did get on the New York subway without a mask, and I was one of few without a mask. Most people, I felt dirty. I felt like, because I didn't bring a mask with me, literally. Right. And I feel like maybe that was like, I'm not going to handle it like that in Europe. You know what I mean? I'm going to handle it a little differently. They're probably going to force me to handle it differently.
And you may see people in Europe handling it differently than they are here. Actually,
well, how about this, dude? I have to get tested to get back.
Right now,
I think I'm coming back next Wednesday. I think I am, but I don't know that I am. I hope I am. My cat hopes I am. My work hopes I am. I have an event at Slancha, right? I mean, I hope I'm not in COVID lockdown in some Dutch Schiphol lockdown, with some Dutch bastards,
let me tell you,
who won't let me home, right? So
during Christmas, my wife and I said, screw it, we gotta live. And we went to Aruba, which is a Dutch island. And before going, I'm like, what happens if we get stuck there? What do they do? And they don't tell you what they do, but the belief is that if you test positive, they stick you in some random hotel and they monitor to make sure you're not moving until you test negative. And by the way, testing negative can take a long time. So my wife and
if I got trapped somewhere, there's a cost to that, right? That's the obvious. What's it cost me to do that? And then like, what happens to all my ish at home, like work and kids and things and sitters and grandparents and like all of those complications, right?
Well, I think my wife and I had the ideal strategy. I'll share it with you. So a lot of people don't know. So most people that we knew that went to that island, you go and the island, the government does the testing. You go to a testing facility. And if you happen to test positive, they know. Alternatively, the United States has certain approved tests, kits that you can take with you that are monitored via your computer, via the camera. So they can see that you open the box and open the peel and that it's not tampered with, and they proctor you taking the test. That's the road we decided to do, because we said, if we test positive, we would do the right thing. But instead of the government sticking us in a, random hotel somewhere, we would have, and it would have had a cost, but we would have gotten a house Airbnb. We would have isolated ourselves instead, and had room at least to spread, to walk outside, did not feel like Big Brother was watching us, right? So my recommendation to you and everyone
Because you're
else
an
who travels,
American and you like freedom.
yeah.
We all want
So,
to be free.
but I would have done the right thing. I mean, I just got back from Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, and before I left, and when I came back, I took a test just to be courteous to other people. I mean, that's the key here. But I absolutely recommend that you consider taking, a couple of those tests with you that are FAA approved, that allows you to test yourself with a proctor, because it gives you a lot more control of what happens if you test positive.
Man, I get all sorts of things I learned from the digital wizard. He is Web Connection Chief Digital Officer. He helps us around here do things. We're upgrading our website and doing some cool stuff around here as we get into summer. A little promotion for what we do at Baltimore Positive. I'm releasing Purple Rain 1 beginning next week in conjunction with this 30 for 30 thing. I'm putting together all video, audio, all sorts of stuff to sort of soup up that version out of Purple Rain 1, and then Purple Rain 2 will be coming in July. Also going to be re-releasing our crab cake tour from last summer, this summer, and then doing 31 crab cakes in 31 days in conjunction with our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Goodwill, and Window Nation, where you buy two, you get two free. That's the June deal. Let everybody know about that. So dude, the travel thing for me, and I talked to Bill Cole, our mutual friend from Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy, a little bit about this. I've been this year, week in LA, downtown LA, long weekend in Oakland and San Francisco. Oakland looks like it's getting better quicker than a lot of places, quite frankly. I've been in Chicago, as you know, where the murder happened outside the hotel I was staying in at 4 in the morning. And I've been in New York several times, but I spent 3 full days in New York this weekend. Spring, beautiful days without my wife, alone. I saw my buddy Rose for some jazz music, but I was mainly alone and mainly just walking and eating and singing and window shopping and going to see Robert Plant and spending the night with Jim Irsay, of all people, at a huge fundraiser he had for kicking the stigma of mental health. So just seeing boarded up places, seeing so many people with mental health challenges, and I'm not an anti-weed guy, right? I mean, at all, right? But seeing people just selling bags of weed out in Times Square out of backs of trucks, if you just flew in from Oklahoma, as this woman that I rode the subway she was kind of lost with her 2 kids trying to get to the Statue of Liberty. She's a woman from Oklahoma City with a 12-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. She was alone, kind of frightened. It's all me. I don't know why the guy with the ponytail became but I mean, I got her where she needed to go, but she was lost and didn't really understand the Google thing so well, and all of that. And back to my root, which is, if this thing goes sour on me and dies on me on Saturday morning in New York, I have to find a store, right? Because I can't communicate with anybody. I don't use this for pay. Apple Pay's prompting me now like crazy. I don't use it for everything, but I wasn't getting into the concert without this, right? I mean, literally, and I'm not getting into the football game without this, and I'm not getting into Europe without this, and I'm not it's amazing how I use that when I want to find the most delicious Indian roti I've ever had in my life, just in Central Park West. It did it on my phone while sitting in Central Park and saying, where am I going to eat and what do I want to find, and making sure that I really had the best chicken malai I've ever had in my life in New York for $6.
Right.
Amazing.
It is. And when you go to Amsterdam, I mean, the information decision making becomes a lot easier when you leverage those tools. That's what
I had
that's
a
what
book the last time. I haven't been to Amsterdam since 06. I had a timeout book.
Yep. I
Circle
hear
in,
you.
reading the pages, ripping out the map, the whole deal, man.
I had to explain to my kids, when I met their mother. She was from Michigan, and she came to visit me in Baltimore, and then we drove to Michigan, and we got a AAA triptych map where they give you the map and they highlight everything that you're supposed to do. And they're like, what? what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, it's, I
Have
mean,
they ever
and
watched like the original Vacation? Because all those references and things like, phone booths and weird and being trapped somewhere where you can't make a phone call, like things that don't exist anymore, sort of.
of course I've watched the original Vacation. In
Well, the
fact,
kids need to figure that out, that the world
uh,
used to work like that. We used to randomly have books going around Amsterdam and Cologne and not knowing where to eat proper schnitzel because we're going to do that this week. So like just these things that you want to do, life has been made wonderful in that way by mastering the digital sciences, if that
so
makes
you
any
say
sense.
you don't use Apple Pay. I'm going to tell you a story that from a digital guy who had something taken away this week that made me go through digital withdrawal. Um, so I do the shopping, the grocery shopping for the house,
Hopefully at Wise
and
Markets, but go ahead.
about, yeah, and and because of you, they're one of my spots. One of my other spots is Wegmans, and I would walk in there and they would basically hit me up and say, you can buy everything and scan it when you put it in your cart and you don't have to wait in line to check out, which is my least favorite thing about the grocery store because I go on the weekends because I work on the weekdays. So they finally talked me into doing it, and it's unbelievable. Avocado, beep, and I put it right in my bag. This, beep, put it right in my bag, and
When
I'm
my wife
shopping.
finds out about this, it's going to change life, yeah.
Right. And I'm shopping and I don't know how to check out because the first time I did it, I'm like, it took me maybe 30 minutes to shop, put everything's already in my bag, in my cart. And then you go to the self-checkout and there's a code on there that you beep, and then all of a sudden the register's downloading everything. It says you can pay now. And because I'm an Apple Pay guy, I double click on my phone, I Apple Pay, and I'm out the door. It was
My
unbelievable.
wife Apple Pays. I just don't Apple Pay yet.
Yeah, it's
You and I mean, like
unbelievable.
that. Seriously, like you're my chief digital officer. What else should I be doing or not doing? I mean, this is like if this were WBAL and you had 90 seconds to do this and it was scripted, we'd sit down and say, "Here's Mike Rosenfeld from Web Connection here with some tips. Other than
Yeah.
Apple Pay, what else should I be doing, Mike?"
Well, it's funny. You and I are the last people who script. We just go where the last idea takes me. But I'm going to finish the Wegman story. I went
Go ahead.
shopping this weekend. Same thing. Beep, put it in my bag. Beep, put it in my bag, and I go to check out. And as I check out, the app says to me, "This feature will stop being supported in 2 days." And I'm to say to the woman, "What's going on? This changed my life. How are you going to take this away from me?" This is where the withdrawal comes in. She goes, certain some of our stores have made a decision to discontinue that. I'm like, why? She's like, the benefit didn't outweigh the positives. I'm like, you mean people were stealing? People were putting things in their bag
Well, I
because they
mean,
don't.
that would be the issue. If the first thing I would say about that, now that you mentioned it, because we get into this in Wise, is the weight, right?
Yeah.
Like when you put the weight down. The other day, I picked up ice cream, literally, and I was flirting with the woman. She's a wonderful woman. I got to remember her name. I got to get her name next time. She's at the Wise at Joppa and Hartford. I call it the Barn Wise because it's right where the barn was, which is now the German joint. Or I call it Das Barn Hall. So I'll have some fun with those guys. But so we're in there, and my wife was checking out, and I grabbed some ice cream, and I picked it up. And I was like holding it and chatting with the lady and having fun because she's always trying to send me into the bakery, because they have a
Mhm.
great bakery at that one. And I said, I don't. I said I get ice cream, so I'm holding it. And Jen's like, put that down. You're messing up the weight. Put it down. You're messing up the weight. And I was. And the thing was going boop boop because I didn't put the ice cream down. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm thinking like your little click thing. It all sounds good till it goes to get weighed. That's what I would
Yeah.
think would be the issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically what people were doing is they were doing what I was doing, except maybe every third product they weren't beeping, and they were
Or
just
they
putting it in
beeped the
there.
potato and called it an avocado because it was cheap. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
one way or the other,
Yeah,
right? You get it.
they were
Scammers will
relying on
scam.
people being
Scammers will scam.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they were relying on people being honest. I was honest. Um,
Yeah, I thought that
uh,
about the web, right? I thought the
yeah,
web's the greatest thing ever. And then I realized every time I'm searching this Indian roadie place, they're tracking me. So
Yeah.
now when I go to Amsterdam, only Indian food will show up, which I love, which is great because they're reading my mind, but I hate it. You know what I mean? Just the
Right.
fact that I'm talking out loud about if I say Amsterdam, Amsterdam, Indian food, schnitzel, stuff will just start popping up now because my phone's listening to me, right?
It is. And so if you have a Google Home Assistant or an Alexa, they're listening to you. There's settings and all these things that if you really want to dig deep, you can turn off but no one does it. You asked about what things you should be doing, like Apple Pay and things like that. Just like we were
You've given
talking
me
about
already the advice about how to get back into the country by
yeah.
COVID testing. So go ahead. I need to know more.
Well,
You're
we talked
smarter than me. We
about
know that. Everybody knows that.
just like I was talking about being Roni rigid and Roni casual, there's probably internet rigid and internet casual. There are people who are really, really, really into privacy, and I don't begrudge anyone the privacy, who's listening, who's tracking, what data is available. I'm of the opinion that there's so much stuff that's being collected, and I do the right thing. That what do I have to worry about? And I'm
Yeah,
not being
protecting
naive.
passwords and stuff like that, right at the
Yeah, I mean, I
top, right?
change
Like
my
all that kind of
passwords.
stuff.
I change my passwords regularly. I have these systems in place that will give me alerts if they think that a password has been compromised. I do clear at the airport. There's a lot of people like, I don't want Big Brother knowing the patterns of my eyes or my fingerprints. And I'm like, my position is if I commit a crime and shame on me that they already have me in a database somewhere, but that's not how I live. I'm an honest guy. I would tell you that the device that changed my world was the Apple Watch.
See, my wife loves that because it monitors sugar.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know
and
what I mean? So that's a big, big thing for my wife, and that it changed her life. Literally, when her sugar gets low, because of her, she has a sensor now,
yeah,
a Dexcom, and at 3 in the morning, if it goes diddle-lit, and it gets to 70, I go to get her some orange juice, and that's been a game changer for quality of her life. The digital has changed that. Certainly been a game changer for that for her life.
and for me, I got it for health also. My father had heart disease. I've had high cholesterol. I exercise heavy and hard. And
I heard about the pickleball, bro.
yeah, that's not the exercise hard though, but yeah. And oftentimes when I exercise, I'm by myself because it's in the house, the home. And the Apple Watch has gotten to a point where it was fine. Like I was trimming branches off a tree this weekend, and I must have done something, and all of a sudden my watch is like, did you fall because you made like a quick, and it's counting down. If you don't just click that you're okay, we're gonna call 911 with the GPS of where you are. It's evolved to a point where it does your EKG when you're not there. It tells you if your heartbeat pattern is different. If I were to fall off the Peloton by myself,
God, it's terrible that I'm getting to the age now where like that late help, I've fallen and I can't get up. Remember, we all had that I'm that guy now, right? Like but it's true.
Look,
My wife and her sister went walking off in the woods. You know what I mean? And literally like they like doing that, but they also like that their phones work.
yeah. Well, and well, so
Different than 1987. Period.
talking about our age, we remember the younger people will have no idea who we're talking about. Jim Fix, who was
runner, sure.
a marathon runner who dropped dead of a heart attack in his 30s. And that always left in my brain as like
you should live like John Belushi.
It doesn't. No, it wasn't like
Keith Richards, who I'm going to be spending some time with Monday. Fingers crossed.
It was more like you never know, and you may be healthy today, even in your 30s. But yeah, now that I'm in my 50s, I'm like, dude, I want to watch that lets me maybe gives me a little advance notice that something ain't right that I may not feel or notice. So
Well, cool.
that's a device I would recommend for
Well,
people.
peace of mind for people too, right? I mean, it's almost like I sit here and talk to Leonard Raskin about peace of mind with money and what to do with investments and stuff like that. Certainly, monitoring your health has become a digital experience. I mean, my wife gets all of her sugar readouts, her all of her doctors know everything that's going on. And obviously, my wife's been through the ringer, with
Yeah.
with cancer twice and leukemia, but the technology blew my mind then, and I'm sure 8 years later, and I don't ever want to find out again, would blow my mind again. Mike Rosenfeld is here. He is my pal at Web Connection, the outsourced chief digital officer for WNST and Baltimore Positive as well. Yeah, this bucket list thing, that because we should talk about this, because I don't talk much about this, and the man who saved my wife's life had a bucket list. One of the first things he shared with her when they connected the first night was his bucket list. Like literally, it was like, and we didn't know how good his English was, and his English is impeccable. I'll probably be putting him up on social media next week, having some fun with him and his wife, who doesn't speak any English, or a lot of English. She's been practicing a few words, I think. But we're having this international thing, and part of it for me is seeing what's going on, right? Like New York, Chicago, LA, flying around. I've been to Florida. I'm trying to think of where else I've been. I mean, some Ravens trips. I'm going to be going places, right? And Vegas. I've been places. Well, the Ravens aren't traveling all that much this year, actually. Just New Orleans and Tampa, and that's been New York a couple times on a bus. But the notion that bucket list things and 2.5 years of this and inflation and being older and whatever health scares you've had, your wife's had, wherever you are, the notion that you need to get together and live a little bit. And we didn't realize this, man. We haven't seen Niels since the Wembley knee. Okay, so that's September 17th. So it's been 5.5 years since we've seen the guy who saved her life, right? And we feel like
Mhm.
we're connected because of digital, right? Because we can
Yeah.
FaceTime. We're supposed to go to his wedding, couldn't. Saw his wedding online, all that stuff. But there is a part now where, like, the people that have made it through this thing are like, all right, I want to go see Robert Plant in Forest Hills in New York. My wife didn't want to go. I went anyway. I went and did the Jim Irsay thing in New York and saw Mike Mills sing "Don't Go Back to Rockville" and thought it might have been the greatest thing I've ever seen. It just popped up. It, like, I wasn't expecting it to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. I was at this thing and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like that I'm doing this, and I want that feeling again. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think we all want that feeling again, whatever it is.
Well, I think I I definitely made a list of things that once this Roni settled down, that I wanted to commit to doing, and I haven't done a lot of them yet,
What
which
are
is
they?
disappointing.
Like literally, I want to know, because I have my own list too. And I may be
Um,
sharing this soon. Like, I just put it out for the world, because I think other
uh,
people should have a bucket list.
I think one of the main things I wanted to do, and you were part of it, you and my friend Rodney, who I met in kindergarten. You, when you were doing your crab cake tour and you were talking about all the different places you went all across the state. And my friend Rodney, who with his fiance go regularly outdoors, kayaking, walking trails, doing stuff like
Have
that.
you been to Swallow Falls,
Of course
west of?
not. That's my
Have you
bucket
been to Deep
list.
Creek Lake?
No.
All right, so here's what, and this is serious business. Chloe, my intern, we are going through doing a lot of things here this summer. I'm releasing Purple Rain 1 and Purple Rain 2 and digitizing it, making it all cool. But the Crab Cake tour from last year, a lot of the videos and audio and stuff that I did never really made it to Baltimore Positive, right? It didn't have like a format for it. It was on social media, and tens of thousands of hits, and I have YouTube videos with 30,000 views that have never been on Baltimore Positive. We are going to recap the 30 days. So beginning on July 1st, you're going to see what I did on August 1st, the crab cake I had, where I went, all that, because I think it was really important to show the state. And I keep showing Chloe the videos from last year. I'm like, we're going to use this. We're going to use this. This is on Facebook. And if you were a Facebook friend or Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you were, you may have seen my wife and I with a picture or a little video I shot about the falls or whatever. But I'm going to regurgitate all of that in advance of going back in August and doing some of it again, but some of it brand new. So we're going to hit things we loved again, because that's what you do when you travel, right? We're going back to get the best schnitzel in the world this week in Bayoma Climbing in Cologne, Germany, because it was the best schnitzel in the world, right? So you do that again, but then you take a chance on a new place. Like I tried to send you to a new place in Chicago, Pequods, right? So but you do these things and you create these memories, and um I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, the crab cake tour, but Maryland is so beautiful. And I
Yeah,
keep showing Chloe these pictures, and I'm like, if I learned nothing at 30 crab cakes, met nice people, met awful people, met a lot of great people, did things I always wanted to do. Some things were a little underwhelming, like the bugs in Chrisfield biting my neck. So some of it comes back to you in that way. But more than that, Maryland's really beautiful, and you don't have to go far. And I know gas is $6 a gallon, whatever it is. God bless the Royal Farms gods.
yeah.
But you don't have to go far to experience really incredible things right here.
It's
That's true.
amazing that going back to elementary school, there's random things I remember. And one thing I remember was whether it was a film strip, remember those, or an actual movie about Maryland. And the slogan was America in miniature, where for Maryland, where they said you have the oceans to the east and you have mountains to the west. And there's so much that
And the land of pleasant living right
that's right.
here.
And I this is a regret, I guess, but I've never lived outside of Maryland. I grew up here. I went to University of Maryland, came back here, and there's so many parts about the state I've never seen. So on my bucket list was to do that. And I'll tell you, when we talk about Roni Rigid and Roni
You're
Casual,
giving
I
me ideas,
definitely
because now I'm going to have to list the 5 things that you need to see, right? Like
well,
in
I
Maryland.
remember specifically like some Smith Island cake or some
Oh
cake that was
yeah.
made, and and I'm like, no, damn it, I want to know this stuff.
Well, I'm going to be
I'm,
re-releasing that. I think that was on day 23. So you know what I mean?
yeah,
So July 23rd, you'll see that all over again out on Twitter and Facebook, because we're going to sort of, because it is important. I mean, and I
yeah,
did it. It is right around the corner, and maybe it spurs somebody to go down and see Smith Island, and go to and have that delicious peppery crab cake that I had there at the market in Drum Point Market. So,
yeah,
and I'm not going to do that again this time. I'm going to do something different this time. There's a place called the Red Roost over there that has a crab cake and some fried chicken. Apparently, is delicious. I'm going to
right.
branch out. I'm doing breweries. I'm stopping. So I'm going to do it differently. But dude, you should come with me for a day or 3 or 5. Please come by. I'm going on a crab boat with Tony Conrad from Conrad's Crabs. I am going snakehead fishing with Sam Tudor, who was my childhood friend from Winbrook Road and Colgate. And I'm also going fly fishing with Dan Roderick's son, Nick, who blew his ACL out last year and couldn't go. And I thought fly fishing was like the best thing that I did, maybe one of the best things I did on the trip last year. And we're going to start the tour this time out west, because we
I
we we screwed the pooch waiting until the end last year, and we were kind of in a hurry and a little worn out. We're going to start out west and mellow out in the woods out there, and then make our way east to Ocean
right.
City.
Well, look, I invite for the millions and millions of people who are going to watch this on YouTube to put comments about where classic places in Maryland that Mike Rosenfeld should get off his ass and go to. And
Okay.
I will accept any invitation of a classic Maryland experience that you're going to do that you think I should
The
go.
Harriet Tubman Memorial the railway and the museum is literally right next to the Blackwater Refuge. It's a daily double. It's 15 minutes south of Cambridge when you're going. And go down to Hooper's Island and get a crab cake at Old Salty's. It's a long drive. It's beautiful. It's stunning. And it's just beautiful marshland. You'll see birds, you'll see osprey, you might see eagles. We did. And like, it's beautiful and it's historic and it's deserted for the most part. You'll kind of sort of be the only one there, which is badass unto itself.
Yeah,
And there might see some kids fishing and whatnot. Go do that. So I just gave you a place that's nowhere near Swallow Falls, which is also like, Swallow Falls is kick ass.
yeah,
Yep, yep. So I'm giving you places, man.
I
I'm hooking
appreciate
you
it.
up.
I appreciate it.
And
So that's
you'll
that.
be in Swallow Falls. You'll swear you're in like Colorado, and you'll be in Blackwater Refuge, and you'll be like, I'm in Louisiana, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
One thing I did do, um, uh, this was right before the virus. I was in Rehoboth with
Another
friends.
great place, by the way, that I haven't spent a whole lot of time, but is a great place.
Well, they have right off, 2 streets on the north side when you're on the other side of Rehoboth. They have a state park there, and the place I was staying had a bike, and they had a bike path, and it sounds like everything you just described. I'm like, where am I? I could be anywhere in the country. Where did this come from? Acres and acres and acres of just marshland and birds, and I'm like, what is that? I've never seen that before.
And all of a sudden, you don't see the Ocean City Ferris wheel anymore, right?
And no one told me. I mean, it's not like everyone knows, at least in my sphere. Everyone's like, you got to get the Coors ice cream, you got to get the Thrasher's French fries, you got to get fat. No one talked to me about the fact that just 2 blocks that way was this incredible space. It
I
was
woke up
unbelievable.
and did yoga with kangaroos, dude, and a
Yeah,
camel. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And we did it 10 minutes from the bonfire in Ocean City. So, Mike Rosenfeld's here. We're going to be talking dreams. I want to give a free plug right now to my friend Leonard Raskin because he's traveling in Europe right now. He talks about the American dream and living the American dream and being able to save and take care of your family so you can do great things. So I want to give him a shout out too because we're going to be doing great things this week. So you'll be enjoying some of the greatest hits of the Maryland Crab Cake Tour and a lot of recent great conversations as well as I get away for a couple days. By the way, Mike, I want to give you the new schedule for the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Goodwill, where they're employing people and giving job skills, as well as our friends at Window Nation, where it's buy 2 and you get 2. I bought 2, I'm getting 2 new windows in my joint. I'm appreciative of our friends at Window Nation. So the 17th, we're going to be at Slancha. That's next Friday. We're going to be doing that to celebrate, we believe, Baltimore getting World Cup games in 2026, which I feel like pull my tongue out. I can't believe I just said that. But we're hoping to celebrate at Slancha. Patrick's been kind enough. Everybody down there is on it. I've got great guests. Imtiaz Patel and Kim Yoshino from the Baltimore Banner are going to be coming by to talk about the new launch of that. And I mean, you talk about a Baltimore positive, man. We're launching new media, and we might be getting 6 World Cup games here in 4 years. God, yeah, I can't believe it. The 20th, we're going to be at Next Phase Cafe. It is a Juneteenth celebration on a day where the city is kind of quiet, but Mayor Brandon Scott's going to be joining us on the 20th at Next Phase Cafe. So we'll be talking about the city, crime, business, the harbor, blah, 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 Preakness, all of that. Brandon doesn't run for me, and I appreciate that. So be good to have the mayor on the 20th. The 30th, we're at State Fair with my partner from Coppin State, Anthony Jenkins. It'll be great to spend some time with the president at Coppin. We are their flagship for all they did, including the baseball game and a nice run for Sherm and getting into the tournament. That'll be on the 30th at State Fair in Catonsville. And then the 7th of July, we're at Costas back in Dundalk having delicious crab cakes. And that even usually gets Rosenfeld out, right, Mike?
I'm down. I'm down. Remember, that's my thing, my bucket list. I got to get out, go to some of these iconic places, see the state, see the restaurants, meet new people. It's all good.
Well, I'm working on getting Chloe some gluten-free crab cakes, and I'm thinking Crab Imperial might be gluten-free, and that might be the way that I can hook her up all summer too. So, hey, appreciate everybody reaching out to us on the social media thing, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere you are. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking to great folks like Mike Rosenfeld from Web Connection, our Chief Digital Officer, and BaltimorePositive.com.